My story starts on an ordinary weekend afternoon in May of 2015. I was sitting at the kitchen table reading an American Girl magazine. It talked about how kids around the globe are facing hunger and homelessness every day, and how girls just like me could help by hosting a bake sale and donating the proceeds to an organization called No Kid Hungry. Share Our Strength's No Kid Hungry campaign connects kids in need with nutritious foods and teaches their families how to cook healthy, affordable meals. The campaign also engages the public to make ending child hunger a national priority. I asked my mom if I can have a bake sale. Participating gave you the chance to win a grand prize. And what kid doesn't love to win prizes? She was all for it, and so my bake sale venture started. It's funny how the magazine said how girls just like me could help. I imagine the writer putting together the article, thinking about the typical girl who owns an American Girl doll. And I don't think they're thinking of some like me. What I mean by that is that most of the girls who own an American Girl doll usually come from families that have the money to afford her doll and her accessories, not from families like mine. But wait, before I continue, let's rewind back to 10 years ago. It was another weekend afternoon in May. The year would be 2005. I was a toddler, just being released from a children's hospital that was a several-hour drive from where we lived. My mom would be taking the bus back with me to Scranton, using the money she borrowed from a social worker she had talked to. She had cried in that woman's office, explaining that she didn't have a ride to get back to Scranton, as she didn't have a car or any money to take a bus. She was out of a job. She had spent what little cash she had. She was facing a scary future when we returned. After that long bus ride back to Scranton, her worst fears came true. She and I became homeless. When you Google homeless, a definition pops up: without a home, and therefore typically living in the streets. Synonyms for homeless describe as having no fixed address, without a roof over one's head, on the streets, vagrant, displaced, dispossessed, and destitute, and down and out. We were all of those things. All of our possessions contained in one gray suitcase. It was a suitcase, this very suitcase that my mom had been given after she was accepted to Penn State, where she majored in early childhood education and minored in theater. Wherever we went, this gray suitcase followed. Can you imagine having to live out of a suitcase for months and months? I'm sharing our gray suitcase story with you because I want you to know that homelessness can happen to anyone. It can happen to boys, young men, and adult men with their own unique struggles. It can happen to anyone. It can happen to a girl you knew in high school, a friend, a niece, a daughter. It can happen to anyone. It can happen to a girl who graduated high school and had dreams of becoming a teacher. It can happen to anyone. It can happen to a girl who had a home, an after-school job, who went on her senior trip and went to prom with her friends. It can happen to anyone. It can happen to a young woman that loved her daughter so much and wanted her to have the best kind of life. It can happen to anyone. According to the National Alliance to End Homelessness, there are approximately 564,708 homeless people in the U.S. right at this moment. And in 2012, a survey done in northeastern Pennsylvania showed that there were around 747 recorded homeless people. Those were the people that are looking for services to help them. That number didn't include the homeless population that doesn't look for services because of issues with the law, addiction, mental illness, or mothers that are afraid of having their children being taken away from them. 747. a number that wouldn't be so significant if each of those people didn't represent a person who at one time had a life, a home, and maybe even a family. But certain circumstances brought them to where they were, to where my mother was, struggling to hold onto a sick little girl in our gray suitcase. Now, let's head back to that weekend afternoon in May of 2015 when I was reading the magazine. After I told my mom and stepdad about our bake sale fundraiser and their agreement to help me, we quickly began to plan the first bake sale, thinking it would be simple and fun. Well, that turned into several more bake sales over the summer and fall, and then it turned into something else. It started out as a simple fundraiser to help an organization that helps kids in need, and now it has expanded into something so much more. Our first bake sale, was at a local flea market, where I made 2 dozen cupcakes, lemonade, and sold butter cookies from a tin. As we began to host more bake sales, people became interested in our cause, and some were surprised and moved by our story. And some people even shared their stories of struggle with me. Hearing these stories made me want to help at a more local level, to help the community that helped my mom and I when we were homeless. The exact stories that people told me also pushed me to want to make this bake sale bigger and better. We have been aiming to apply for scholarships and grants that give money to help grassroots startups like ours. We are also in partnership with a local community trust which coordinates all the donations we receive. With the expanding bake sale, thanks to our local supporters, I've been creating new ideas, projects, and partnerships, some of which are still in the works, such as an Izzy Sweets bake sale kit, where each kit would have the items and recipes to help you have your own Izzy Sweets bake sale. The idea of the bake sale kits came from many conversations I've had with my mom about engaging kids to go out and help in their own communities. Our slogan at Izzy Sweets is, "You do not have to be a grown-up to change the world." We thought the kids would be a great way to have kids go outside, enjoy, and not take for granted the community that they live in. Instead of laying in a dark room, playing Subway Surfer, Fruit Ninja, or as my mom loves to say, watching a cat dance to techno music on YouTube. A study done by the Kaiser Foundation in 2010 recorded that an average elementary age school kid uses entertainment technology for about 7.5 hours a day. And in 2015, a survey showed that 92% of teens use the internet daily, and that's not just for homework. Kids these days are really smart. We are inventors, creators, designers, and I think we should use the tools given to us to make this world a better place. When Pokemon Go users have found a way to hatch eggs and use the miles they're walking for to raise money for a charity, we can literally do anything we set our minds to. As I said before, the reason dearest to our hearts for continuing Izzy Sweets Bake Sale is to help the organizations that helped my mom get her second chance at life, like the local homeless shelter. They helped her regain her dignity and confidence that she lost while being homeless, and helped her become the woman she is today. The idea that I can empower young women to start their own businesses, to set out and make a life for themselves, to instill confidence and demand respect is important to me and to my mom. In a few years, when I graduate high school, I may not be doing bake sales anymore. But we hope that by having created this nonprofit, we have empowered girls to not just help in their communities, but to help everyone in need in the world, and have Izzy Sweets' legacy live on. Izzy Sweets isn't just about cupcakes and cookies. It's about starting a fire, a revolution of change to this world. It's about encouraging kids to go out and help the community members in need, and to see those community members for the individuals that they are, to have compassion and understanding. It's about inspiring those that struggle every day not to give up. It's about helping a girl like my mom, a girl who went to prom, had an after-school job, and dreamed of becoming a teacher, but still found herself homeless. It's about helping moms that struggle everywhere to hold on to their children, and to know that everyone has their very own unique gray suitcase story. Thank you.